Let everyone trickle in as they may. So welcome to our meditation group session. So we're going to begin like we did last time with that upregulating breath work that I described last time. So that was that kind of Tumo breath, as it's sometimes called, Wim Hof breathing, cyclic hyperventilation, different names, same concept, which is by intentionally producing a little bit of stress in our body, that's going to help us be more alert for the day via these production of adrenaline, cortisol, and other neurotransmitters that promote alertness and wakefulness. So if you did it last time and enjoyed it, by all means, you can participate again. If you didn't like it, then you by no means have to participate here. So again, it is through the belly. So it's really kind of down here rather than up tall in our chest. It's where we should be breathing. And like I said last time, I sometimes put my hands on kind of the outside of my rib cage to provide this tactile feedback to tell my body to breathe here rather than up here. So our shoulders should be fairly relaxed rather than coming up and down each time. So we're going to do 2 rounds of this, 20 breaths all through the mouth. Again, it looks like this. So deeply in and then kind of letting it fall out of our mouth. 20 breaths, close your eyes if you like, if you want to kind of sink into the moment here. Other than that, we shall get started. Here we go. Follow along with me. That's halfway. Five more. And last one. Letting all the air out of your lungs. Might feel a little tingly, little lightheaded, totally to be expected, intentional. Now we're holding on empty. Kind of bringing on that air hunger, that urge to breathe. Holding for another 10 seconds. And now we're going to do a deep inhale through the nose, hold at the top. Hold, relax shoulders. Through the teeth, slow exhale. Okay, here we go. Here's round 2, 20 breaths. That's halfway, really through the belly. Last one. All the air out. Holding on empty. Again, a little bit of tingling, a little bit of lightheaded, change in temperature, all to be expected. So it's creating some stress resilience. Bringing on that urge to breathe, holding for another 10 seconds. Deep inhale through the nose and hold. Now, even longer exhale than last time through the teeth. Nice job. So if you participated, you might feel a little more alert, but also maybe more calm. And so we're going to transition from that right into the meditation session. And so to begin this time, actually, we can stay seated like normal, but we're actually going to have our eyes open this time. So to begin, let's just take a deep inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth or the nose. Really elongate that exhale. Deep inhale through nose and long exhale. So now with our eyes open, like usual, let's begin to tune in to the sensation of breathing at the tip of the nose. And then the rise and fall of the chest as we exhale. Or whatever sensation you feel most clearly. And just continue to notice the sensation of breath as it occurs naturally. A sense of effortlessness. And continuing to do that and just thinking about the kind of theme for the day here of really making this meditation practice, which we've been doing for the last 4 weeks, and having this integrate and translate into our everyday life, our waking life when we're not meditating. And so often we feel like we're meditating, we have our eyes closed, we do our 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, open our eyes, and then, we're back to the hustle of the day. Our mind becomes full of thinking again, planning for work, etc. So by keeping our eyes open and doing the same kind of meditation practice, we're kind of training how we usually are for our everyday life. So just as usual, tuning in to the sensation of breathing. Noticing the breath the moment it arises. Maybe that's at the tip of the nose, feeling of pressure, temperature. All the way to the rise and fall of the chest as we exhale. Noticing how our mind wanders as it will. That's what our minds do, of course. Recognizing when we become lost in thinking and planning, and gently bringing it back to the sensations of the body as we breathe in and out. So as we have our eyes open here, think about almost breathing in the visual environment. We're just receiving all of the color, all of the shapes, all of the objects. And our eyes might dart to specific parts of our room. Not trying to change that, not trying to focus on anything in particular. And just letting our mind and our eyes, in this case, do what they want. And kind of just resting in this visual environment. And very wide, very open. Breathing in what we see. So this means, of course, not necessarily having to watch my screen, but turning your chair, perhaps. And so the same principles apply here of noticing how we become lost in thinking, planning. But now we have this competing stimuli, our visual environment, which is very rich with information, things to look at. So our attention and our awareness, therefore, has to be even more attuned, even more keen to kind of the mental environment, thoughts and emotions, etc. Continuing to tune into the breath here, very effortless inhales and exhales. So then you might be thinking, so what are we supposed to be looking at exactly? And think of this like how when we're driving our car, we're not really focusing on anything in particular. We're just watching kind of experience flow by us. Sometimes our eyes will dart to signs, billboards, people. But then we always seem to bring it back to this more generic, open attention. Another aspect that might feel different with our eyes open is we kind of have this sense of self-consciousness that we're the ones doing the seeing, kind of like we are locus of control, as they sometimes call it. Like the me is up in our head and we're looking out into our visual environment. So start to think of this as the same stimuli that are coming in is also where we are looking out. It's all just this same space that we're calling attention, we're calling awareness. So then where are we in the middle of this process? We're looking out, information's coming in to our eyes through our retina and into our visual cortex. And then this feeling that we are behind our head, looking out at the world, is really just another thought. It's just another thing to notice. We can let that feeling of self-consciousness quite literally fade away, just like other thoughts and sounds, sensations. So let's transition now to close our eyes. Continuing to follow the breath, but then opening our awareness to kind of the visual field behind our eyes. Noticing there's darkness, but there's also kind of flashes of shadow and light. And again, becoming kind of curious about this sensation that we kind of up in our forehead, and that we are looking down, noticing our breathing, noticing our body. Maybe challenging that idea and look for what is looking. Look for the seer of attention or the noticer of our breath. And this may take some time to experiment with and some time to have this realization. But we'll find that when we look for what is looking, there's nothing really to find. There's just sensation. So for the last few minutes of the session, tuning back into our breath here, in and out, noticing sounds, sensations in the body, and maybe noticing that there really is no one up there experiencing all of this for our last few minutes. And beginning now to wiggle fingers and toes, adding in some gentle movements, opening your eyes when you're ready. And so this was a more kind of niche, nuanced type of meditation called non-dualism meditation. And the idea is to challenge this assumption that we're always up here, that we're living in our head. And during the session, I encourage you to kind of look for who is looking. And it's a very odd, kind of paradoxical way of meditating, but it's really freeing because it allows us to create some healthy separation from our thoughts, right? If we think that there are thoughts, that we're living up here, we're identifying with every thought that we have much more strongly. And by doing this, we can start to just notice thoughts as just thoughts. So removing this subject object relationship just a little bit at a time. So that's a very challenging one. It's something to experiment with, and I really encourage you to experiment with it, because it can be somewhat of a revelation when you begin to understand that idea. But anyway, that was the session. Thank you all for coming, and thanks for participating in the program. This will be the final week. I'll be sending out a poll or survey in the Slack channel, and we will definitely be having more of these programs to come very shortly. If you have any questions or feedback right now, please let me know. Otherwise, thanks everyone for attending.
Thanks, Sam.
You got it.